When it comes to urban homesteading, vegetable gardening, raised bed gardening, whatever you want to call it, being able to maximize the output you get from a dedicated amount of space is one of the most important things you can do. So when you look at a small little bed like this behind me, this is what we want to talk about today. And that is seasonal multi-cropping or intercropping, or there are so many terms flying around that everyone is trying to own. In simple terms, making sure you never leave a bed empty. This bed, as an example, has a lemon tree which is shooting out new growth everywhere after a pretty drastic prune. I then have winter celery, which is now ready for harvest. Nice thick, big stems. But what this actually is it's my artichoke bed. What happens is in summer, these artichokes fly up and they're nice and tall, beautiful flowers. The bulbs are busy spreading under the ground. And then when it comes to autumn, the flowers die down. I harvest the bulbs that I want to, leave a few in the ground so that, like now, they can pop up when they are ready. However, this is the big important factor. To maximize what this small little piece gives me, I need to plant something there in winter. So what did I do? I planted tatsoi and celery interplanted between each other. The bugs tended to go more for the celery than they did the tatsoi, so I've got a good tatsoi harvest. And now, as the season's starting to warm up, the celery is just exploding, and this is where the awesome part comes in. As the celery is ready to harvest, and I'll bring it in close so you can see, the Jerusalem artichokes are now starting to appear through the celery. So what happens is you got one crop growing, and as the temperatures and seasons and everything aligns beautifully for the next crop, it starts coming through, you harvest the one, and you already got a head start with your next one. You can do the same with pretty much any perennial bulb or root veg. I'm thinking turmeric, ginger. You can do the same with your beetroots, carrots, all of those. So we just spoke about that bed over there, which is lemon tree, tatsoi, celery in winter, and then Jerusalem artichokes in summer that then come up and we can do an exchange of seasons and crops. We're doing the same thing throughout. We've got carrots at the back, tomatoes, kale. As this kale starts to go down, at the back here, we have a pepino melon. Now, pepino melons are very slow and they take a lot of time in winter, but in summer, they just explode. So in winter, you can grow something bigger like a red Russian kale or something like that, which is going to take up a bit more space, covering the pepino melon a bit. But then as soon as the summer season kicks in, you can harvest the kale and the pepino melon is just going to explode with new growth and flowers. And you can apply that same principle throughout with your beans, peas, all of that. Your summer loving perennial crops that are either dormant but still have some growth, or that completely die down that you know are going to come back. Make sure you get a planting in there of winter crops, leafy greens, all of that. Personally, I'm not a big fan of the whole crop rotation, scientific, if you plant this, then this, then this, then that. I follow the principles of nature, meaning if something grows there, it grows. If it doesn't, it's not the right environment for it. And the variation or the variety of plants, to me, is more important than the rotation thereof. So if we have 23 different plants growing in this small area, they all occupy different root zones and they all have different needs. They're all shedding leaves and putting things back. So as long as you're not planting an entire bed of the same thing, which if you've watched some of my videos, you'd know I'm not a big fan of, you're not going to have a problem with having a leafy green in winter growing on top of a Jerusalem artichoke that also needs nitrogen, because they occupy different root zones. The Jerusalem artichoke bulb is much deeper than the tatsoi roots, and the Jerusalem artichoke roots go even deeper than the bulb. So that is an example of understanding root zones and not just listening to everything you see on the internet that says, if you grow leafy green, grow a nitrogen fixing legume thereafter because you need to replace the nitrogen in the soil. Nonsense. Let nature do what it needs to do, understand the principles of root zones, and if you are mulching, composting with your homemade compost, all of that, you shouldn't be worrying about top level nitrogen counts in any case, because you are adding that back. And like I said, deeper down, you're having different plants, different root zones. So this is a quick video just to motivate you to not let something like a Jerusalem artichoke bed go to sleep during winter. Don't be scared to plant over it. As long as you're not pulling the roots out when they're ready to harvest and disturbing all of those bulbs that are left behind, cut them at the base, leave the roots there. As you see, the Jerusalem artichokes will sprout out as soon as the weather, the conditions, and the timing is right. And the same for many, many, many different plants. So, get planting and make sure you don't waste any space, that you can maximize the harvest you get within smaller urban areas and smaller urban vegetable gardens. If you got some value out of this, please share it out to your communities. If you enjoyed watching this video, please give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe to my journey so you can see how these interplantings turn into beautiful harvests of food for me and my family. Until next time, happy growing.